This is Robocraft, and here is my Tier 1 thruster sled that I call, jokingly, the Tier 1 Megabot. This thing is a barrel of laughs. So this is based exactly off of a really excellent write-up on Steam that I've got linked in the description below of a guy's minimalistic build. He said that he wouldn't be able to get it into Tier 1, but I made some concessions and changed some things and was able to squeeze it in there. Now I want to clarify, I don't use this to grief people. I try to be very friendly and helpful, and I'm just there to have a little fun. I spot people a bunch and just answer questions. It's just a fun little like an ambassador bot. Anyway, I'll show you how it's built here. Excuse my mess. Get rid of the seat for a minute. So I believe it's set up like this. And you can follow the Steam guide for a really good step-by-step tutorial on how this thing works. But basically, your pilot goes up here. So if you've never done vertical building before, this is an exploit, and as far as we know, Robocraft doesn't plan to patch it out because it doesn't really give you that many advantages. And there's some pretty significant disadvantages. If you're thinking ahead, you'll notice one of the big ones is going to be that the control scheme is going to be all goobered up. So forward in the robot garage here is actually going to be up to our robot. So in order to go forward according to the robot, you're going to need to go down in the garage, which means shift your downward thrusters. So when we put a thruster here, that's going to make the thing go forward. So you press shift to do that. To make it go backwards would be space. Like that. And so forth and so on. So it's going to be weird. And these vertical designs, as far as I can tell, are completely incompatible with hovers, and they make steering really weird on wheeled vehicles too. So they lend themselves best to sleds, which are really kind of fun on their own. I had tried the sled thing right when I first got into the game, but until I followed this guy's guide on Steam, I hadn't found one that was actually controllable. And I hadn't thought of the vertical building part of it either, although I'd done that separately. So anyway, the basic design of this that I've got copied over on the one that's armored on the left is there's two thrusters here, two thrusters here. Those aren't very expensive, so I'm just going to buy 10 of them right here. It's nice being in Tier 10. And then on his steering thrusters are, they're in front like this, which is good for armor, but I found that I like them better right here because they also add like kind of a roll adjustment, just very slightly, which can help you straighten the craft out. You're going to build the one with your gun up right here. I've got a Tier 3 SMG. If you're in Tier 1, you can still build this robot. Just use the Tier 2 thrusters, use Tier 1 and 2 blocks, and then use a Tier 2 gun. And then as soon as you get to Tier 2, you can buy Tier 3 guns. If that makes any sense. So this isn't something that you need to min-max like I did. And then that's it for the basic design of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the seat back on the correct one and show you just a few other things I did to it, and then we'll give it a test drive. So I put the radars on these prisms right here that are leaning off of these prisms here. Okay. And two Tier 1 radars don't affect your robot ranking very much at all. And it fits in with my whole, I do this as like being an ambassador, kind of teammate guy. I'm using my radar and I'm spotting people and I'm trying to get people to communicate. Oh yeah, so anyway, and then there's Tier 1 thruster, Tier 2 thrusters here to go up and down. as well. And you'll need those because you don't run a flipper on these. This thing is constantly in a state of crashing. So a flipper would be kind of ridiculous. You have to completely stop to use a flipper. You know, you'll be sliding on your face as often as not. Okay, so there's your first tip. When you first drop into the game, you need to hold W to flatten out. Now I can get back over, but it's just annoying. So maybe I'll remember next time. Okay, so A and D, pivot. That's cool. W makes the front of the craft go up, which is annoying to me. And S makes it go down. You can very clearly see that thruster going there. And you're going to use shift to go forward. Now, on this one, I didn't put any reverse thrusters in it, like the guy on Steam did. Because it's easier just to point the other direction to me and thrust that way. And then it reminds me of like a lunar lander game. So you can keep adding speed and adding speed. What you'll encounter is when you get to a certain speed and a certain turning angle, it feels like you can't turn back anymore. It won't be obvious, but like when I'm going around a corner like this, like right there, it didn't want to steer backwards. And the trick with that is if it doesn't want to steer one direction, just go ahead and go around the other way. You can turn 90 degrees to the right or 270 degrees to the same position. See? It doesn't matter. The thing spins so quickly anyway. So this is only with 4 forward thrusters and quite a bit more cubes than the design originally was. And it's still just absurdly fast. You can rush over to the enemy's base, jump around on the capture point, and then get out of there. Just really confuse people. The goal with these sleds was always to be able to circle strafe. For me, you know, I want to get in a guy's face and do a tight circle around him so he can't even react fast enough. I've pulled it off before. This thing's just as maneuverable on the ice as it is on the land. So being in the snow level is not a problem at all. The main reason to have an SMG instead of a plasma gun, which would pretty much work fine, is they turn too slow. The SMG turns as fast as your mouse does, or nearly. And since you're always at changing angles and elevations and everything, that's pretty much the only thing you can do. You need to be pretty good at click firing to make this work, since you only got one gun. And if you don't know about click firing, if you have less than like 3 SMGs on your craft, or if whatever you're shooting at is really far away, it'll benefit you to not hold the button down. If you watch the reticle grow, it's not shrinking back down between those, and it will be kind of halfway random in the middle there. So I got him pretty much in the middle, and it's not going to hit him every time. Whereas if you let it go down between, it's perfectly accurate. Almost exactly. And that's just a pretty good tactic that you need to know throughout Robocraft. So, there's the Tier 1 Megabot. I recommend you give it a try. Or any kind of thruster sled. It's a nice way to relax and goof around with the mobility side of the game. The physics in this game are fun. They're funny and they're fun. And you know, we kind of get stuck with these kind of rote ideas about how to move around. Here's something that it's kind of outside of the box. All right, we'll see.